So hey everyone, it's Julia, and in today's video we're going to be discussing Elliana Walmsley and basically all the drama surrounding her. This was highly requested, and this was also a video I wanted to do months ago but just never got to, but now I'm going to do it. So I wanted to split Elliana and Liliana in two parts just because they're two different people, and while they're going through somewhat similar experiences with their parents and stuff like that, there's still a lot of distinctions, so I want to make sure that I am thorough with them. So we're going to discuss Elliana in this part, and we're going to discuss basically all of her stuff on Dance Moms, her life after Dance Moms, and a lot of other situations. So again, I want to offer a trigger warning as this can be pretty heavy stuff, like discussing just child exploitation, and it can be heavy. So just wanted to preface it with that. So let's get going. All right, so let's dig into Elliana. So Elliana was extremely talented on Dance Moms, and she was on the mini team that was introduced in season 6, and Abby was so impressed with her talent and Liliana's talent that she decided to bring her on to the permanent team in season 7. And so Elliana was compared to a lot of fabulous dancers such as Kalani, and she was very versatile, controlled, and she expressed herself a lot through her dancing. And throughout the years, people have tried to compare Ellie and Lily's dancing. They say that Ellie is more mature when she dances, but I feel like that's kind of a given because she's older, so it just makes sense. But yeah, I don't know much about dance. Just letting y'all know that again, I don't know much about dance, but from what I do know, I think Ellie is a really great dancer. So Ellie has also won a lot of awards such as Miss Petite Dance America. She performed on Broadway. She won the title of the Mini Female Best Dancer at the Dance Awards, and so many other things. So Elliana is a very accomplished child dancer, and she was well respected in the dance world because of just how much she won, how great her technique was, and honestly, I think her drive had to do with it as well. So she's very well respected, and she has clout. Okay, she has clout in the dance world. Elliana was also really smart as a kid and on Dance Moms. She was noted for being well-spoken for her age, and I remember I caught this years ago when they did a video on the Dance Moms channel where it was like introducing the minis or something like that, and Elliana described a girl that she was fighting with at soccer because she used to do soccer before dance, and she described this girl as being snotty and sanctimonious.
And there was this girl, she was really tiny and she was really slow and she never could like get the ball. And she was also really like snotty and sanctimonious.
Which I thought was funny because I'm like, you're only 8 and you know how to use sanctimonious properly in a sentence. Good education, good home training, right? At the time. So I was like, wow, that's really cool. And she also knew a lot about Selena Quintanilla, and she also said in an interview that she felt defeated. And so this was really sad. I didn't like that she said this, but I was impressed anyway because I was like, wow, you're 8-9 years old and you're describing yourself as feeling defeated. That's very expressive for such a young child, you know?
I'm always the one that gets picked on. I don't ever get any compliments, and it's like I'm like the worst dancer on the team. I mean, I don't know, but I feel defeated.
I mean, I was an avid reader as a kid, but I wasn't saying that I felt defeated, so that was pretty cool. Well, not cool, but you know, it just showed her her expression. So there are a lot of clips of Elliana's mother, Yolanda, putting a lot of pressure on Ellie. She put a lot of pressure on her. She put a lot of pressure on her in season 8, which caused her to leave early. And there's so many clips in season 7 of her putting pressure on Elliana, so much so that the elite moms, the original moms, were calling out Yolanda and saying, you're literally going to destroy your kid. And so this has been noted by so many different moms throughout the series. And I think it just, again, brings up a big, you know, who's this really for? Is this for Ellie or Lily? I mean, is this for Ellie or Yolanda? Like, who is it for? Like, why are you putting all this pressure on an 8-9-year-old child? And so I'm going to play a couple clips. One of the saddest clips I found was about Yolanda giving up Ellie's spot on the team for literally no reason. Because all Ashley was trying to do was point out Abby's hypocrisy. And Yolanda took that and ran with it like 500 miles, and Ellie started to cry because she was like, why would you give up my spot?
At this point, give her Elliana's spot.
All right, Elliana, you go ahead. Why would you say that for? Why would you say that?
Why do you do that?
Yolanda, why would you say that?
There's also a clip where she accused Lily and Macy of bullying Ellie, and Ellie's sitting over here like they're not doing anything, and that led to the whole Yolanda Stacy chokehold fight, you know, that crap. So it led to all of that. And like, man, I feel like my African auntie was coming out like So anyway, basically, yeah, it led to that whole drama. So there's just a lot going on. So my thoughts are, Elliana was clearly a competitive dancer and she wanted to do well. Like, I think we could all tell just by the way Ellie danced that she had a lot of drive and she wanted to do well. She wanted to perform. I mean, again, if you're 8 to 9 and you're winning all these awards, you're doing all these great things, clearly you want to achieve, clearly you want to do well. And so I think she was very driven. But we can see that Yolanda was pushing Ellie. I think Yolanda was just so obsessed with her child being the best that it killed her when Ellie didn't rise to the occasion. And I really feel like everything was about Yolanda, because on the show, Yolanda was always like, I feel this way, you guys are doing this to me, and people accused her of playing the victim. They did this in season 7 and 8, so this was consistent across 2 different seasons. And by the way, I didn't watch season 8, I just watched clips, but from the clips, I was gathering a lot of people were like basically trying to say like, you're trying to be the victim when it's not about you.
Elliana, why is she crying?
Why was your child apologizing to you?
There's been small little things sometimes in order to get out of being in trouble with whoever, she'll say stuff.
That's the problem. She shouldn't be so afraid to tell the truth because she's afraid she's going to get in trouble or get yelled at.
You're making it seem like I'm her.
So why is your first thought you're making it seem like I'm abusing her? Like, why is that your first thought? I mean, this scene could have probably been heavily edited, but still, it's a little weird, you know?
She's crazy.
Get over here and console your daughter.
No, I've consoled her a lot.
Last night, and every single time I would say something, she would say, I was doing it. I'm like, no, I wouldn't open my mouth if you were doing it. I'm trying to help you. Now, you better go in there and you better be first overall or we're going home. I'm tired of it.
Don't you dare tell her what to do, you piece of...
You know it's bad when Abby thinks you've gone too far. When Abby thinks you've gone too far, that's when you know you're done up. Okay, like, wow.
Okay, fine, I'll do it. Tell me what to say. Just say I'm really upset. This really meant a lot to me. And just say thank you so much for your time.
What's going on?
How much is these meant to me? Because I was always that one person standing behind my friend.
So as you can see, Yolanda put a lot of pressure on Ellie, and this, I think, has led into her life post Dance Moms. So let's show y'all some pics and videos of Elliana today. So it looked like all they did in the Omegle video was just dance or something. I don't know. I like skimmed through it because I just couldn't stomach it. But them clickbait titles, again, the suggestive nature, like the way she just titles her videos and stuff like that, it's just not appropriate for a 14-year-old at all. This girl is 14. She's 14. 14. And she's posing like someone my age. Even I wouldn't pose like that. And I'm going to be 23 next month. Like, you're 14. You're 14. And so I don't even think her outfits are always the problem. Yes, some of her outfits are very inappropriate. But I think it's the poses, the faces. It's very alarming. And another thing I wanted to bring up is the fact that her relationship is being put on full display and exploited. So Elliana's in a relationship with this guy named Jensen Ramirez, and I think he's about a year older than her, so he's probably like 14, 15. And so these are kids, right? And you see clips of them kissing and, you know, these pranks like, oh, I talked to a man, and oh, like these, like, I don't even know, like, y'all, I went through a lot to make this video. This is all so cringe, like going through their channel, like all the pranking and the, you know, just like, and my thing is this, like, you know, 14, you know, teenagers are going to do what they want to do. Okay. You know, like, you're very young at that age. And a lot of times, 9 times out of 10, you're not going to stay with the guy that you're dating as a 14, 15-year-old. 9 times out of 10, unless you're like in the 1% that happens to marry your high school sweetheart. If not, if so, congrats to you. But most people don't live that kind of life. And so I think it's just really disgusting. And it's like, I feel like on a lot of her pictures, she's like, oh yeah, guys, so comment this emoji, blah, 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 and we'll shout you out. And I noticed that her boyfriend Jensen does the same kind of captions. And I don't know, it just seems to me like they're using this relationship for clout. And to be honest, I wouldn't be surprised if this relationship was orchestrated, because helly weird, that's what they like to do, okay? So they like to do weirdish where they put people together, they put celebrities together just for the clout. And I wouldn't be shocked if they're doing that with this. Maybe they really do like each other. I mean, who knows? But I just think it's really weird, and it makes me uncomfortable, because I'm like, at the end of the day, like, let them be them. Let them go through the growing pains of being teenagers in private. Why are you blasting this for everyone to see? It's really distasteful. Not blaming Elliana, I'm blaming her parents. Like, it's distasteful. And so, like I said, if it's not an act or if it's not orchestrated, I think, again, this is very damaging to a child, because as a child, you're supposed to live your life to the fullest. You know, your childhood is so short compared to your adulthood. I mean, like I said, I'm 22, I'll be 23 in a month. I feel like I've said that like 5 times already, but I'll be 23 next month. And I look at my childhood, like I remember being 7, 8, 9, 10, and it feels like yesterday sometimes. Like sometimes I'd be thinking and I'm like, wow, that many years have gone by. Like I was literally, when Ellie was born, I was 8. Like, that's crazy to me. And so it's like, it goes by so fast. And so it's really sad to me that these kids are just rushing to grow up so much. And I mean, every kid has been like that in every generation. You want to grow up, you want to see what the adult life is like. But it's like, it doesn't really go past maybe a desire. But for Ellie, it's like she's literally posing, speaking like she's in her 20s. And it's very alarming to me, because again, imagine what that does to your development when you're basically a cash cow for your family. And we're going to get into that. We're going to get into the car and the house. Again, she bought herself a car at 13. Ma'am, that is your mommy and daddy's car. That is mommy's car. That is daddy's car. Okay, that is not your car. That is not, a Tesla is not for a 13, 14-year-old to drive. I saw something about how she bought a house. I'll add that up here. I didn't find it in my initial research stages for this video, but I'll flash it up here if I can find it. So again, I think it's really, really sad. It's like, she's not allowed to just live her life and live as a kid. So I'm an undergrad in psychology, and I'm not using that for like clout or anything. I'm just saying that to let y'all know where my mind goes when I look at stuff like this. But something that we discussed heavily in psychology throughout my schooling was the psychosocial stages of development, Erik Erikson. And so the psychosocial stages of development are basically how the stages in which each child is in and how they identify themselves. So this is from child to adult, pretty much the entire life spectrum. Elliana is currently in the 5th stage, which is identity versus role confusion. And so during this stage, adolescents are trying to figure out their personal sense of self and their identity, and they're learning about their bodies, trying to understand who they will be as adults and their personal values and beliefs. So you're going through a very transformative time. And so that's why a lot of times when, you know, kids go through trauma in their teenhood, or they go through like something like what Elliana, Liliana, and all these other kids are going through with social media, when you go through all these pressures, you know, as a teenager, it can really damage that time of your life where you're supposed to explore and figure out who you are outside of everything else. Because Elliana puts up this persona. She's putting up this persona. She's putting up this life, like, oh, this is the life I live. I'm so adult. I'm so this. I'm so that. And it's like it looks like she's being pushed into this mold, you know, to make money, to have views, to get clicks. She's being put into this mold. And so when she gets to the next developmental stage, when she's a young adult, is she even going to know who she is? There's very much a chance that she's not going to really understand who she is outside of the persona that she puts on social media, because her life is so dependent on social media. She might not understand how to go through a healthy relationship and how to keep things behind closed doors, because she's so used to putting things out there. You know, there are a lot of men out there who don't want their relationship blasted online. I mean, she's probably going to end up dating people that do the same thing she does, but I digress. All I'm saying is she going to be able to identify who she is? outside of that. That's why a lot of these child stars, especially, you know, when they are child stars from their childhood or their teenhood, they end up growing up being completely screwed up, as I've discussed on this channel, because they are not able to go through that stage organically. They're being pushed into a mold, and they have to conform to it no matter what. So again, this can push someone into rebellion, and they end up establishing a negative identity. They have a negative sense of self since they weren't allowed to organically go through the process. So that's my concern for Elliana. It's like, you're not allowed to just go through your childhood. I mean, she's been on TV since she was like 8 years old. I mean, she's been dancing for practically her entire life. And she has this mother who is so like obsessed with her being successful. Her mother is just, and I want to touch more on Yolanda because I don't think I touched on her enough in the first part, but Yolanda in general, like she seems like such a cutthroat mother. Like literally Ashley in that clip I played literally was like, console your daughter, like she needs you. And she's basically like, I've consoled her enough. It's like, you don't even want to console your own kid. And then just the whole like forcing Ellie to lie about a sentimental story just so she can get into a group dance that she wasn't even allowed to be in the first place. I mean, her mother just has put so much pressure, and I feel like has warped that kid so much. And it's really sad. I mean, just from what we see on the show, you know, I wanted to give Yolanda the benefit of the doubt, because I was like, maybe she was just a caricature. Maybe she was just acting this way for the show. But to see how she's allowing her daughter to conduct herself now, it's really sad. And it's crazy because it's like, Yolanda was a teacher. So you know what? I be thinking to myself, I'm like, you are an educator, so you of all people should know about the child developmental stages and mental health for children. Like, you should be an advocate for that, but instead you're the antithesis. Stacey has a doctorate in psychology. Stacey was a whole psychologist. You should know everything. You know, you should know from top to bottom pretty much, and yet and still you're the complete antithesis of that. How does that make any sense? How, Sway? Tell me how.
How, Sway? Take a few steps back.
You ain't got the answers, man. You ain't got the answers.
So, say all this to say, it's sad, and it's also really creepy too, because let's think about just the way she poses again. Like the way she poses, the way she acts these pranks.
Pretend, just pretend. Just any second.
Make sure that like you are like, oh my God, what are you doing? Elliana, stop!
The way that a lot of creeps online, they're targeting these kids on YouTube, targeting them on Omegle, targeting them on different websites. And they're like hiding behind their screens, pretending probably to be their age. You don't know. And that's the thing. It's like you're putting your kid out there for all that exposure. Who knows who is watching them, who is probably cyber stalking them? You have no idea. And it's just really, really scary and creepy and sad. So I wanted to touch on the allegations. I don't want to go too deep into them just because it is speculation, and I definitely don't want to put anything. I mean, this was already out there, but I don't want to speculate. I just don't care to, like, no, but I just want to talk about it because I think it's important. So last year, allegations from Elliana's brother Luke came out and said that Yolanda is her child. He claimed that Yolanda poses as Ellie in response to fans on social media, and that she breaks things and she hits them. And so basically, like, he's just saying that Yolanda's crazy, and Yolanda has for most of his life. So we don't know if any of these things are 100% true, but this was Elliana's response.
If you guys saw the video, then, you know, you're probably thinking the same thing. No, my mom has actually never laid a finger on me. She's never, you know, she's hugging me and stuff. She's laid a finger on me. But, like, she's never hit me. She's never anything like that. My brother actually did something really, really terrible to me when I was 5 years old and has continued to do it. I, for legal reasons, actually can't say what it is. If it continues to get really bad and he continues to still post stuff, I probably will have to expose it. But let's just say it's really, really bad and it took away, like, my innocence. I don't want to talk about it. It's a very, 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 like, sensitive subject for me. Like, I want to cry every time I think about it. But no, my mom is not abusive. Actually, she was just protecting him from me because he's deranged and he's honestly a psycho. So everything you saw in that video, honestly, you didn't know what happened. He was throwing soap at us. He was, like, throwing cups at us. It was really, really bad. None of it was true. And, you know, my mom, of course, like, she's going to yell at me. Like, that's normal, so.
It also was found out that Yolanda was arrested in Boulder County last year for domestic violence and for something else. So I'll flash that picture up here. So again, what I wanted to say about Elliana's response is that it was really, again, I'm gonna use this word again, alarming. She's saying that her brother did some pretty crazy stuff to her when she was 5 years old that she can't even speak about and it makes her cry. And that he went to jail for it. She's saying this. I'm just making this video. I mean, it's really sad and it's really heavy. And I just think to myself, like, this kid has been put through so much. She's been put through the ringer and she's only 14. And I think to myself, like, Yolanda, are you making sure your family's intact? Like, how could this happen repeatedly? And she's publicly speaking about it too. That's the thing. Like, the fact that Elliana felt comfortable publicly saying my brother did this to me when I was a kid and blah 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 blah, like she feels she's gonna say that to people. I mean, that's crazy to me. So another thing I wanted to point out was that Elliana's father made a really weird comment about her on her birthday post, saying that Elliana looked like a Victoria's Secret model. And I'm just kind of wondering, like, you couldn't have just said she looked pretty or she looked like a model or something. You had to go Victoria's Secret. I mean, maybe it's a reach, you know, maybe it could be a reach, but I just feel like you don't say that. Most parents, most dads don't even want their 14-year-old being compared to Victoria's Secret models. So the fact that he felt comfortable enough to say that publicly is just weird. It's weird. Okay, like, it's weird. It's just weird. I'm not accusing anyone of anything. But it's weird. It's just weird. So yeah, this is kind of like my breakdown of Elliana. And I know other people were talking about how she's part of like the Piper Raquel squad. I don't know. I don't think I'm gonna make a video on that just because that would just make me want to slam my head against the wall. So that's not happening. But I have like peeked through and I've seen it. And this just speaks to a bigger issue. Maybe I might make like a more general video just about social media and children, because at the end of the day, these kids are not protected. These kids don't have laws protecting them. You know, maybe in the next 20 to 30 years, maybe we might start having laws after this generation of kids grow up. You know what I'm saying? Maybe these kids might pull a Macaulay Culkin, might pull a Gary Coleman and sue their parents, and then we'll see things come to fruition. I don't know. But essentially, I think the issue with like Ellie and Lily's clique of friends, it's the same thing. So again, it's really sad, and these kids need protection. These kids need support, and they need school. They need to stay focused in the books. Like, they need school, like living this life. I just really wonder how Ellie's gonna turn out in the next few years, especially considering that kind of family. I wonder. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope you learned a little bit of something, and my Liliana video will be coming out very soon because I also want to touch on her, and I also will be coming out with more content soon. So thank you guys so much for your patience. Thank you guys for, again, watching this video, and I'll talk to you next time. Peace.